All right, guys, we're going to wrap up a few things here with chapter 4, just talking about linear sequences. So we know from studying a few things, we know we can do +2 for all these. Okay, and that means they're going up. Okay, so some correlations we're making, that means it's a slope of +2, then it can go up. Okay, it could also be going down. So what's happening here? Right, so I'll just pick somewhere. This is down 4, down 4, down 4. All right, often when we change over signs, sometimes that can be tricky, right? If you got integers down, then it's not a big deal, but try and look for the same signs of what's happening. So again, a slope is -4 because we're going to turn this into slope intercept here in the next few days here before Thanksgiving break. All right, next thing we have is just what's next. All right, so can you identify the pattern and then give me the next two numbers? So that's kind of the first thing that we're after. So it looks like +2, +2. All right, so we're going 13 and 15. Easy enough. All right, so we're going +5, +5, +5. So 28, 33. We got them. All right, +4, +4. All right, so my rule is +4. So we're going to add 4, 27 and 31. -8, -8, -8. Okay, so these all seem to be the same. So 40 and 32. All right, I got +3, +5, +7. So this is nonlinear, right? This is definitely one thing we identified before as nonlinear. But hey, can you give me the next two numbers anyway? So if this is +9, this is +11, so +13, well, that's 49. So what's +15 from there? Well, that's 64. How about that? All right, what about the next one? We got +0, +1, again, nonlinear. And this one's a little bit harder to identify. So +2, I'm sorry, +1, +2, +3, +5. All right, and what actually happens here is we're dealing with the previous two numbers will give you that next number. Okay, this is known as the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, so 1, 2 gives me 3, 2, 3 gives me 5. All right, so that means the next one should be 21. Ooh, that's a highlighter still. 21, and then 21 and 13 gives me 34. So we can keep going with those. A lot of neat things in nature about Fibonacci sequence, so we'll get there. All right, so the other task that we can have, instead of giving me the next two, which requires finding the rule, is just tell me what the rule is. So this one is +3, right? And this one is also +3. Looks like this is +4, -2. All right, this one's a little easier to identify if I stay positive to positive. That's a +4. Looks like we're going down by 5. And here it's +1, +2, +4. All right, so this one's different, not just because it's in red, but how do I get 2, 4, 8, 16? Well, that's times 2, right? Times 2. So why is it different? Because it's multiplication. Okay, what's that mean? It's nonlinear. Okay, so it kind of goes full circle back to what we have been talking about so far in this chapter. All right, so some examples of where we deal with some of these arithmetic sequences. All right, so we might have the bottom layer of the pyramid has, this many, and the next layer, it doesn't have as many blocks to it. And the one after that, a few less. So we're trying to figure out how many would be in row 3 or 4 or 16 or 37, or try and build one of these massive pyramids. What's going on? The other thing might be, the seats here. As you move back, the rows get a little bit wider. So it might be like how many seats, how many people in row 3. Right. So if we have a set pattern, we can try and figure some of those things out. All right, so if we want to narrow it down, so arithmetic just means that they have to be linear. So if we're dealing with something that is linear, so which are arithmetic? So it looks like we're going down 4, down 4, down 4. So it definitely is. And what's the rule? Well, the difference is -4 each and every time. Whereas here, it looks like change of sign, so it's a little bit tough. So let's go with this one. So this is +9, +9, +9. So the difference is +9 each and every time. So that is another arithmetic. Here's that 1, 1, 2. So here my difference was 0, and here it's 1. So this is not arithmetic. So I'm not worried about what the rule is when that happens. Okay, so right here, this is -3. This is not -3. This is not arithmetic. We could figure out a rule and we'll deal with that. This one would have to be minus 20, and this is minus 4. These numbers are different, so this is not arithmetic. And then in the next one, let's see what's going on. So it looks like this is 2/4, 3/4, but 3/4 would be 6/8. Okay, so this would have been plus 1/2, and this would have been plus 1/8. So again, this is non-linear, so it's not arithmetic. So remember, arithmetic and linear, we're going to keep tying those two ideas together as much as we can so we can find out what the rule is. All right, so arithmetic sequence, we're going to wrap up chapter 4 here. So we have a couple things that we talk about. The first term, we use a sub 1, right? Sub means this little subscript down here. So if the first number is 8, so far we have a sequence. It's 8. The second term, a sub 2, that is the first one plus the difference. Okay, so that means we're going to be adding 3. So it's 8, 11. So that means it was plus 3 in big here. So we can figure out that the next one should be 14, but how are we getting it? Right? To get the third term, I need the first term plus 2 times that difference, right? The slope, or the d that we keep talking about, 8 plus 2 times 3. Well, that'll give me that 14. So what's happening each time is if I want the third term, I'm multiplying it by 2. If I want the fourth term, I'm multiplying it by 3. So it's always how many more? And not more, it's less, right? It's always n minus 1 times d. Okay, so that's how we're going to get and use our formula. So I could ask you for any single number way out in the world, and you could give me that answer. All right, so here's what it looks like, guys. So 3, so d is 3. We had our difference here. Is we're trying to find out 1, so we get to build up some equations and see what's happening. So if I distribute and do everything else, I end up with 3n plus 1. So how did it first start? The first term was 4 plus n minus 1. And then what happened was we need to find out our difference was 3. So times 3. So here's what happens. We end up distributing. So we have 4 plus 3n minus 3. And if I do like terms here, I get 3n plus 1, which surely looks like slope-intercept form. So you can see how these are related. But we're going to focus on this one today so we can see what is happening. So what's the rule, right? So that's our common difference. So what's the difference? It looks like plus 6, right? So 6, what's the 10th term? Well, to find that out, I have to identify what's the first term. So I need a sub 1. So that's going to be 9. So I need 9 plus, if I want the 10th term, that means n equals 10. So at 10 minus 1 times the rule was 6. All right, so let's go ahead and take care of that. So 9 plus 9 times 6, well, 9 times 6 is 54, plus 9, 63. So that means the 10th term is 63. So if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, if you keep counting these up, I'm going to get the 10th term, a sub 10, equals 63. All right, so if we repeat that process, how do we find the 100th term? I need the first term, 9, plus 100 minus 1 times the rule is 6. All right, so I need 99 times 6 plus 9. Okay, go ahead and grab your calculator because we're going to need it for a little while then. Okay, so I get 594 plus 9 equals 603. All right, so we're going to try and cut out not having this repeated of the same exact problem. We'll have to set some things up and see how we do with it. All right, so the first term is 2. So a sub 1 is 2. What's the difference? Difference is 5. All right, so what we don't have in this problem is what number are we after? So let's pick one. So let's say we want to find out when a sub, let's say 33. Okay, so what we're doing is we're saying n equals 33 when we do this, and we want the final value. So we have 2 plus 33 minus 1 times 5. So that's 32 times 5 plus 2. Did you grab that calculator yet? All right, I don't even know if you need it. You guys are pretty sharp without it. So we got 32 times 5, that's 160, plus 2, it's 162. So how do you show me what all this means? That means the term 33 turned out to be 162, right? Because you don't want to spend all this time writing this out and say the 12th term, well, that happens to be 57, and then 13, 14. We're not going to do that. That's crazy talk. All right, so here we get the same thing. Let's find term number. Let's go with 48. Okay, 48. So what's the first term? 47 plus 48 minus 1 times, what's the rule? Ooh, we never got it. All right, -3. Okay, so that means I need 47 times -3 is negative 141. So we need 47 minus 141. So we got -94. Remember, this is all based on the equation a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Right? What if I want to work in reverse? What if I tell you the 20th term, right here, the 20th term turned out to be 157? That means I know the answer in the end. I know something has to equal 157. I know the first term is 5. I know the 20th term, but I don't know what d is. Okay, so here's the thing is you guys can solve any equation as long as you only have one unknown variable. So let's clean this up a little bit. 157 equals 5 plus 19d. Let's subtract the 5 out of here. So we're at 152 equals 19d. Right, now we just have to divide. Go ahead, let's hit it. 152 divided by 19. So the common difference is 8. Right? So now I can turn around and say, well, d equals 8. We have that. And then if we know the first term is 5, I might say, okay, well, what's the fifth term? So we can add on some of these, and that's really some of the SAT style questions that we try and build up to. All right, so let's do this again. So here I'm after term. Let's go with 21. Okay, that's not too bad to deal with. So let's figure everything out. First term and the rule. Okay, so a sub 1 is 7. The difference is positive 2. Let's fill it in. 7 plus 21 minus 1. And the difference is 2 each time. So this is going to be 20 times 2 plus 7. So that's 40 plus 7, so 47. What was 47? The 21st term turns out to be 47. Let's do it one more time in reverse, and then we should be in good shape. All right, so in reverse, that means we have a final value, -167 equals, what's the first term? 13 plus, what goes in here is the 37. 37 minus 1, and I don't know what the rule is. That's what in the world we keep trying to solve for here. So I got 167 negative, and we're going to subtract 13. Right, subtract 13, so we're at -180 equals 36d. So let's divide that by 36. So d turns out to be 5. Okay, so that's where we could add on some of those extra questions. Okay, what's the 12th term then if we know all this other information? All right, so real quick, what we're going to do is take these top 5 here. Okay, so this is what I'm going to look for in your notebook. Take these top 5, give me what the difference is, and then also identify the 10th term. So quick little review before we come to class.